Or you could say, if you see here the helicopter, they're coming for us, so you got to be careful. We might get shot at and get killed. So it's different experiences. A lot of, since I've been working, or have been working with the Veteran Administration, what we call now Veteran Affairs as a psychologist, a lot of Asians do not come in for treatment. Or a lot of people don't come in originally. In general, why a lot of people don't come in? Because they don't know they have PTSD. They thought that some of the symptoms that they have is unique to themselves, not unique to the war veterans. Like in World War II, they used to call it shell shock. Or World War I, they may call it battle fatigue or some other things. But it's still the same problem. And so it's still there. It's up to the individual to seek help. But in a sense, a lot of people haven't sought help for the first 10 years because people put down the Vietnam War. So when we're talking about I have a problem, then you got to say I'm a Vietnam vet. If I'm a Vietnam vet, then you get spit on, you get shamed on, or pissed on, or whatever you want to call it, put down. For the Asian themselves, the hard part is shame. You can't tell people outside your family or to anybody that you're having a problem. That's going against the value, so the traditions. And another thing is, when you talk about shame, is like this: you're not putting yourself down yourself. You're putting your whole family down because you represent your family, and especially you're a son. A son carries the family name. So for being a son, it's hard. So you think about shame, and you talk about another reason they don't come in, because when you do go in for help, people look at you, what are you doing here? No, you're not American GI. Some people think you're Vietnamese. The American don't, the vet center, the veteran administration don't treat foreign people. So like some of the clients looked around and say, no, I can't go in there because I've been treated like, I'm not an American. So for me, I just had to go through my own training, going through my own way of figuring out how to work it out. What I've done is, some of the stuff I've done is, in my PhD program as a psychologist, they didn't require us to go for therapy. They recommend that all of us should do it, so we know how it feels being on the other side and being as a client. And I went through therapy while I was going through my program. And to me, I understand how to be a client. I know myself as a client, I worked through some of my own issue about who I am and about Vietnam.
Had a hard time sleeping, had some nightmares. It took me years to be able to get over the nightmares. They weren't as frequent as time went on. I did not feel guilty about going to Vietnam because I didn't kill anybody. My job was to be a journalist, and I wrote some damn good stories and got some good photographs. So I was proud of some of the work I did. So how could I feel guilty?
This is it, the moment every man knew would come. A Viet Cong main force battalion has been reported in the area, and the airborne infantrymen expect instant contact. By the end of September, they will kill 600 Viet Cong. It will be a difficult thing, and some of these airborne fighting men will die. But the job, for this time, will be done.
Just before I left Nam, I had delayed and route orders cut so I could go to Hawaii, and I saw my mother. I knocked on the door, and there's the man who took my mother away from my father, and me and the rest of the kids opened the door, and the guy was a bum. Now think about it. I just came back from Nam. Even though I was a journalist, I was also trained to kill. And I saw that guy. And I must admit, the idea of wasting that sucker crossed my mind. I didn't. He looked at me, and I asked him if Catherine Hugh, my mother, was there. And he said, yes, who are you? And he looked at me, and he realized, are you Donald? I hate that name. That's why I shrunk it to Don. Donald. That sounds like something, well, you've been a bad boy, Donald. No, my name is Don. I went in, and I had quite a chat with my mother, and I told her that as the eldest child of the family, as the oldest son, I had an obligation to tell her that there were ramifications of what she did. A mother should never leave her kids. A mother should never leave her kids. When my mother dumped my dad and 4 kids, we weren't particularly on speaking terms for some reason. So she didn't know I went into the Army. Come to think of it, she didn't know I went to Nam.
I anticipated that I was going to Vietnam. When you're in basic training, we knew that majority of the people will be going to Vietnam at that time, because that was in 68, 69. It was the war was escalating, especially after 68 Tet offense, or what you call the Chinese New Year or the Vietnamese New Year, whatever. So we all knew we was going. Only one in, I forgot how many, 1 in 5 didn't go. So, you know, like some people were sent to Germany, and other people, 110 stayed in United States or something like that. So after basic, we knew we was going to go, but then you go to advanced training based on what your advanced training is. Like we knew that there's helicopter, there's a helicopter war over there, and that's what the field I was going into. So I knew I was going to go over. So when I got my order after completing advanced training, I knew I'd get my order to go. Some people delayed it by going to another advanced training. Like a couple of guys in my company, who I went from basic to advanced training with. There was 2 of them went to airborne school. That's another couple months of training before they went over to Vietnam. A company is made out of 4 platoons. Each platoon were made out of so many people. In basic training, there was 66 of us in my platoon. Out of that platoon, there was me and a Japanese thing and 1 Filipino in my platoon. That's 3 out of 66. In advanced training, there was not no other Asian in my platoon. I think I was the only one.
The reason why I went into the Army, I enlisted, was to become a journalist, to get journalism training, and the GI Bill. You see, you can enlist in the military for a specific MOS, military occupational specialty. And I did not want to become a tunnel rat, which they would have made me because I look like a gook, quote unquote, which is bullshit. I wanted to become a journalist when I grew up. Still waiting, but according to some people, but actually I've made 1 or 2 decent marks in journalism over the years. But in order to get started, and those were the days when I was in my early 20s, that's right. I needed an education. Now, I see these young